right. Well, I'm here with Zanai.
Z and I.
Zanai.
Yeah, that's
Zanai. Okay, so in my head all
uh-huh.
morning, I was saying it wrong, even as I was listening to cuts of your music. So
hmm
I apologize.
Oh no, it's okay.
Zanai.
hmm
And what does that mean?
So it's actually my name, my birth name. It means to know each other.
To know each other.
hmm
That's really beautiful. And it's Zanai.
Yep.
ZNI,
Yep.
right? And you're Zimbabwean.
Zimbabwean-American.
Okay.
So first generation American, but my parents are Zimbabwean, both of them.
Amazing. And that also comes through in your music because
hmm
you are a musician and an artist and a creator. And we were talking earlier about your cut Adventure,
Uh-huh.
right? Which is like this tell me a little bit about your music and the influence and what your music is right now out in the world.
Yeah, so I'm influenced as far as influence comes. My first influence was my father. He was a musician. He was an artist from Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
pretty known around the world for Zimbabwean music. And he had a lot of music in the home. My first experience with music was Zimbabwean music.
Yeah.
So my dad,
What are the characteristics of Zimbabwean music?
the characteristics,
Yeah, like what makes it sound unique?
the melodies,
Okay.
uh-huh,
Okay.
100% the melodies, very deep, deep melodies. And I think that's where my melodic influence
The
comes from.
sounds of yeah.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Um, but my father had a marimba band. He also had, he was also a mbira player, and the mbira is the thumb piano.
Oh,
Yeah, and the marimba is basically like the African xylophone.
okay.
And he was also a percussionist as well, so he played the drums. And he was just a really big student of music. Like he had all kinds of music in the house. So like literally, any kind of record. He had a really big record collection, and I was always going through it
Wow.
just because I was just so, curious first of all, and I just always had a love for music, and I would always go through his records, whether it was Michael Jackson, Louis Armstrong, whether it was Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masekela. Obviously his music I listened to a lot as well, a lot of his albums, Whitney Houston, you name it, we had it. Like I said, he had a very large record collection, so everything you could imagine.
And it comes through in your music as well,
hmm
right? Because like we were saying earlier, that like there's certain music that you hear that immediately triggers like this, you feel inspired, right? You
hmm
feel better. There's a lightness
hmm
to the music. And that's what happened when I listened to the Adventure cut.
hmm
So like what is your are you looking for that kind of reaction in your music?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's, definitely inspiration is a big one, good vibes, whatever that may be,
Yeah. It is good vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, it's just it's love. A lot of my songs are love stories. They come from, situations I've been through relationship wise, experience as well.
Yeah.
And so when I write my music, I try to make it, relatable, obviously, because, I want people to enjoy it and to like it. But a lot of it is just stuff that, that I've been through, things that I love to sing about.
And how do your sound is very different than, let's say, Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the more pop culture-y, right? Like, how do you get people to listen to your music, right? With the
hmm
different sounds and the influences from a much more global stage
Right,
than what
right.
we're used to. Like, how do you, like, what are the hurdles that you have to clear?
Man, that's a great question. I don't think I've ever looked at it as like hurdles I've had to clear, but more like just giving people my authentic self
Yeah.
and then just seeing how they react to
Yeah.
that. But, to your point, sometimes I do think, oh man, this might be a little bit too, maybe I need to not, sound so maybe make it a little poppy or whatever. I mean, that's just something that we go through as artists, right? We're
Any
always,
kind of artist, I
yeah,
think.
we're always like,
Yeah.
oh man. But the biggest thing is I always try to stay as authentic to myself. And I understand that my authenticity and who I am and my creativity is what's going to separate me from everybody else. And if people listen to my sound, they'll just, I don't think there's anyone that sounds like me out there, honestly, just with the blending of the different genres, and just the international feel that it has.
It is so international.
Yeah, it's
feeling,
a global sound.
You feel like it really does make you want to travel, right? Like there's just some sort of magic in the music that you make. But going back to that, talking about, you have to stay authentic to yourself as an artist and a creator, and really just in life in 100%. General. How do you do that? Because there are a lot of artists out there who are bending to the will of producers, labels, right? Like what is your advice to those creators, right, who are willing to give up a part of who they are in order to sign a record?
Oh man, don't sell out.
Yeah, I know. It's so easy to say that.
You got a lot of great questions today. You're making me think.
Yeah. No, I mean, but it's just like, we've interviewed a fair amount of musicians on this show, and, some stand their ground like you, like, to be authentic, I might not sign every deal, but most people are like, well, we'll let the public decide who I should be. Like, how do you... I just think it's really important, not only for musicians, but for business people, humans, to know how to maintain that authenticity and not give it all away.
Yeah, I think you said it, stand your ground. But at the same time, I will say, as an artist, it's okay for people to kind of give you input.
Yeah.
Like I have my core people who I, a lot of times when I'm working on a record,
right,
or if I'm, I'll have like samples of it at first, and I'll send it out to my, core
your
people,
team, your folks,
who I trust, who kind of seen the evolving of my of me as an artist, and I'll kind of see what they say. I have like 5 special people who I send it to all the time, and they always give me like good feedback. Some feedback I just be like, no, I'm gonna keep it this way. But I think the other thing, number 1, like you said, stand your ground. Number 2, just believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And number 3, just trust yourself. Like trust that what you're doing is gonna connect.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, like we had this very young artist very early on in the history of the Busy podcast, but she was so young, right? And you could tell that she was gonna get dragged through the machine. Yeah. Right? They were already worried about her weight. Oh. Right? Like for these young artists, right, who are at the mercy of a producer, like I worry, right? Like a mother about these people, these women largely, right? How do you know what you stand for and stand for it, right?
Yeah.
But still have success, right? It's like, is it either or how do you balance?
You mean like how would I treat a situation like that?
Yeah. What's your advice
what my advice is to them? Okay. That's a hard one because I know how it's easy to be influenced when you're young. Yeah. Right?
And you just want it
want it so bad. You're in a development stage.
Yeah.
You're influenced by a lot of different musics, different genres. You have artists that you look up to and you want to sometimes imitate that sound. I know I dealt with that when I was younger. Yeah. When I first started writing, I started sounding like artists that I was influenced by. I think at that point, if we're talking about, a younger artist, I would say hopefully they have the right people around them as far as like family, who's not just looking at them
just
and thinking.
Just like the foundational
Yeah,
parts.
Hopefully the foundational parts of like the family around them is good, that they have someone who is knowledgeable about the industry, who's knowledgeable about music, and then also having a producer that sees that raw talent, that authentic raw talent, kind of like what, Berry Gordy saw in Michael Jackson when he was a kid. Hopefully they see that authenticity, and they say, hey, you know what, we're gonna we're going to mold this
Yeah.
the right way
Nurture
and nurture it.
this.
Just nurture this thing. We're
Yeah.
not just going to make a carbon copy of, you know, whatever.
Right. It gets boring after a
It
while
does.
anyway. You
Yeah.
know?
But sometimes, you know, what they want to do is they look at it and they say, well, this has worked. This is
Yeah.
the formula.
This is like the money.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the money. Let's go with it,
Yeah.
right? So my advice to younger artists in those kind of situations, I would say, is you know, hopefully they have the right team of people around them that can, you know, nurture that sound and really help them develop their true, authentic self.
Right. Right. And uniqueness.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like
Yep.
Michael Jackson. I
Mhm.
mean, my God, there will never be another, you
No.
know, Whitney Houston,
Yep.
right? Like, you know, you cannot imitate, you know, you can imitate, but you cannot be the next Whitney Houston. You
No.
can be the next something
Whoever you
else
are.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
Right.
But to your point though, man, we're dealing in a time right now where it's like carbon copies, man. Unfortunately.
I mean, right?
You know?
Like, and it's AI. So
Yeah.
AI is doing all kinds of
Yep.
weird things to our brains and,
Yep.
and what we listen to. But
100%.
But there's like, I think one of the refreshing things about listening to your music this morning is that there's not a sameness to it, right? It's not the same as what you're going to hear on Sirius Satellite, you know, channel 33. There is something about it that there's a brightness, right, that you don't hear in this, you know, highly manufactured cookie cutter music environment, right? Am I being an asshole?
No, I think you're spot on.
Right. Can I say I'm not in the music industry, so if I'm being too judgy, just tell me to back down.
No,
but
you're good.
it's you know, I just hope as a society we keep letting sounds like yours into our lives, right? Because it is there's a richness to it, right? It's different. It's not that same, you know, how people get into the like Florence and the Machine, you know, like all the same sound, and it's like for a period of time, and in that period of time that we're listening to the same sound over and over again, there's all this beautiful music that's coming out of, you know, Montenegro or you know, somewhere in South America,
right?
And I don't know, you know, I don't know if the technology and AI is making our world bigger or smaller, right? Like I don't know. Like I would be curious.
AI scares the shit out of me.
It scares the shit out of
right now.
It should scare everybody, but for the creatives, right? Like you put your sound into an AI agent or a bot or whatever. Your sound, your uniqueness is pulled into the machine, right? And it becomes a part of that algorithm, right? And AI steals, right? It's a thief.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to go that, like it's.
Oh no, tell me more, because I'm learning something right now.
All right, so with writers, right? Like I'm a writer.
Okay.
Right. Anything in the history of my writing career that has been published online is now a part of the AI. It's now a part of the intelligence, right? So if somebody says, hey, AI, Chat GPT, write me a paragraph or write me a column about entrepreneurship, but do it in the voice of Amy Cosper.
Holy.
Right? Guess what? Some of my old columns that have been digitized will be so it's basically gives you permission to plagiarize other people's voices, right? And so that in music and in, you know what,
that's not like copyright.
Well, and there are a lot of lawsuits from writers, but, and I'm sure there will be more from musicians as well. But you want to be a part of progress, right? But you don't want to lose that creative uniqueness and DNA that sets you apart from other musicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how you do it. It's just a big fat question that I thought I would lob out there.
Mm-hmm.
The other question I have, because in music and in life and in business, if you're out there with an album or a business or a restaurant or whatever, you are also you're going to invite haters and trolls, right? And it's very easy to focus on what people do not like. How do you manage the people who do not understand or like your music?
Right now, I feel like I just tend to like ignore it.
I think that's what we all should be doing.
You know, sometimes I laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen comments here and there and I just laugh.
Yeah.
But I'm a very non-conflict kind of person.
Yeah. You don't get out there and you're not like, you don't get the
Nah,
anger.
no,
Yeah.
I really
It's
don't.
really just not worth it, the energy.
I really don't give a fuck what you think about me.
Right.
So
That's the
I'm
spirit.
you know, that's just the way I try to roll with it, because at that point, you know, you can't give your energy to that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
I mean, because
Believe
you
me.
kind of want to,
Especially
right?
if somebody says, "Hey, I hate your songs." Like, damn, okay,
Right? Like,
whatever.
why do you like, but is it really somebody saying that, or is it just like a troll, like a troublemaker,
I think usually that's what it is.
trying to get you to engage?
Mm-hmm.
So what comes next for you? So you're a musician, you have an agency, and like what is in the future? More music, I hope.
100%.
The world will be a better place with more of your music. But
Thank
what
you.
else is happening?
So right now, I have a new single that I put out. I think it's been out for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months.
Wait, which one is that one?
It's called Better.
Okay, I didn't listen to that one.
Yeah, it's pretty new, so maybe but yeah, it's on all the streaming platforms. We shot a video for it in Arizona, Phoenix. It was shot by Stephen Collins. It was and also Skylar was a part of that, and Influence Media is who shot it, so shout out to them. And right now I'm currently working on new music, so I have a bunch of songs I've written, and we're just kind of figuring out the rollout, what the plan is with the rollout, and how we're gonna, you know, basically, you know, put everything out. Also, I have some shows that are going to start coming up in January.
In Seattle?
We're going to start in Seattle. You know, we're going to start locally. And then from there, you know, the plan is to take it globally, get on some tours.
And where would we find that schedule?
That's a great question. It will be on znimusic.com on my website.
Okay.
So the website is done. We also have merchandise that's about to drop. I think I gave you a sample.
I got a shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave you a shirt. You know, doing that, working on new music. As far as my agency goes, that you brought up, it's called Mia, and we are a video production agency. So we do. We work with companies to do like social content, TV, you name it, you know, all of that.
All in video.
All in video.
Yeah.
We also do web design, production. And the other thing that we're going into next is going to be sports, but on the African side. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of Southern African rugby players, and kind of helping them go from, you know, Zimbabwe, South Africa to the mostly we're going to start with the American Rugby League.
Yeah.
But we, you know, if we find some talent that's good enough to play in other countries, that'll be good too.
How did you go? Like, how did that come about? Right? Like, that's kind of veering, right? The sports angle for your agency.
So I was an athlete my whole life.
Yeah.
There's not, you know, I kid around all the time with my cousins and my brothers, and I say, you know, I'm the best athlete in the family, because there was literally no sport I couldn't play. Yeah, like swimming, volleyball, soccer, rugby, you know, all of it.
Tennis.
I could play tennis.
See, you're one of those that's
right.
Just
I was just a natural athlete, you know, just from when I was younger. But the passions that I really had in the sports that I played I played basketball, but rugby was my biggest passion. Living in Zimbabwe,
what's the difference between soccer and rugby?
Soccer, they're kicking the ball. Rugby, they're
you can do all things with your hands.
Yeah,
right?
And they're beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, which I love.
It's 80 minutes of a bar fight. So if you're not about that life, just get the fuck off that field. You know what I mean? You know. Now I'm gonna say this, and I hope none of my friends who play in the NFL get mad at me about this. But the saying goes, on a football field, you'll find some soft guys on there. On a rugby field, ain't nobody soft. No one's soft. You know, you might find a little prima donnas on the football field, like, oh, don't hit me like that.
Why isn't rugby like a thing in the States?
I think it's catching on. It's just going to take some time.
Because football, like in my opinion, sorry, can we just go this way for 1 second?
Sure.
Like NFL football, to me, professional football, I have lost all interest in it.
Really?
right?
Okay.
Because it's, it's money.
Yeah.
It's, like you can buy your way to the top, right? Like it's just, I don't know, it's annoying. The rules are annoying. There's too many fat people, right? Okay,
Those are the
we'll cut that
linemen.
out.
The
We'll,
linemen.
we'll cut that out. But then you get like when you look at rugby, which is really kind of brutal, and but there are like there's definitely a structure to it. But it's a little bit, there's a wildness to it, right? That you don't get in football. And football is very well scrubbed machine,
Hmm.
right? But with rugby or even, some of those other, people hitting each other with sticks
Oh yeah.
and, shit like that. But anyway, I don't know why we went this way. Oh, because I want rugby to be bigger in this country.
Yeah. Well, they say rugby is a gentleman's sport played by hooligans. That's because they'll beat the shit out of each other for 80 minutes and then
Right.
go to a pub after and have
Right. And
beer.
hug and
Yeah, and they'll
do
be
the
all
whole
be
thing.
drinking, drinking together. But yeah, with the whole rugby thing, one of the things I'm involved in is I'm involved with the Zimbabwe Rugby Union as well. So we work with the under 21 specifically, and under 18 specifically. So before we work with the younger talent that's on their way to the national team, it's kind of like a development stage for them. So there's a few kids that I've worked with in the who played for the under 21, the junior Sables, that are now playing for the national team. My nephew being one of them, and he's just a stud.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and he's actually playing. I think he's playing in Europe right now. He's too good to play in the States.
Yeah.
Like, he's just way too good. But but there's a lot of other guys who are coming up that they could find opportunities in the United States, and that's something that we're starting, and we're hoping to help them get those opportunities with Major League Rugby, and also soccer players as well. Like we have one soccer player right now. She's at Southern Miss, and she's an amazing soccer player, great defender. And hopefully we can get her into the women's league in the States or in Europe, and that's all things that we're working on. Oh, I have to shout out my cousin Dumi Maraire. He runs worldwide scholarships, and he's also one of the biggest scholarship providers for Southern African. I think he's doing all of Africa too, but mostly Southern African athletes.
Wow.
So from athletics to rugby to transitioning some rugby players that want to play football.
Wow.
Yeah, like we have two. I think we have two. We now have two NFL players that are from Zimbabwe that play in the NFL.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then so there's some of these youth. They're looking at it and they're saying, "Hey, I can play football." I mean, they see the money, obviously.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I can play in the NFL, and, maybe I could have an opportunity. And when they see, like Nate Landman, who plays for the Rams, and then I forget the other kid's name. He just had an interception too. But, we have a couple of kids from Zimbabwe that are playing, that play
cool.
in the NFL.
I did not know that.
Yeah, right now. So, and we have more coming. We have a shit ton of talent, man. We have a whole farm of talent over there. So we're excited to see those boys shine.
How do you all right, so you got the rugby, soccer, football side and the mute, like where do you strike the balance, right? Like those are two very different disciplines.
Yeah, so I just tend to do what I'm good at, man.
Yeah.
Like the agency side, I have people that basically run most of that. I'm good at, obviously a lot of the relationships come from people I know.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the execution, I'm not the one who goes out there and shoots. And
Yeah.
That's not my thing. That's not my skill set.
Yeah.
So I have videographers that handle that,
Yeah.
And then on the sports side, like I said, it's still young. We want to develop that. But yeah, it's mostly just relationships. With the sports side of things, it's just, like I said, it's still young right now. We're still developing that, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something we want to get up and running within the next year or two.
So with all of your entrepreneuring, right, all of the endeavors that you have going, right, and people who are listening, especially young aspiring entrepreneurs and founders, like what What one piece of advice would you give to the listeners out there right now, right, about chasing success, right? Like can you be the best possible entrepreneur, the most successful?
Oh, I don't know. But what I can say for myself is stay resilient. And when you think you don't have, not only stay resilient, but then make sure you have mentors. Make sure you have, like, I like to call them OGs. Make sure you have OGs around you that when shit gets tough and you're like, man, I don't know how much more of this I can take. And I don't, you know what I mean? That you can actually be yourself to and just say, hey, I'm feeling like giving up right now.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm in trouble. This is what happened. What do you suggest I do? You know what I mean? And with your victories, celebrate those.
Yeah.
Don't be so hard on yourself or so whatever that you when it's woe is me, you feel bad, but then when you're with your victories, celebrate those as well.
Right.
And I think some people tend to forget to do that. They're just like, oh, no, it's like it's both sides of it, man. When things get shitty, look at it, address it, step right in front of it. Don't run from it.
Yeah.
Because that's where the stories are made. That's where the glory comes from. That's where you become, through those trials and tribulations is what makes you.
Yeah.
It gets harder and harder before it gets better sometimes, and when you go through those tough moments, when you're going through those challenging times, that's really what's making you.
Yeah.
And most people give up when they're like, right.
Yeah, because it's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Because you're in the dark. You're in a very dark place and there's all kinds of shit coming at you, and there's all types of things coming at you. And one thing I will say is don't react. Like, don't just react be smart about, what you give your attention, because sometimes if you're going through those dark moments, you want to react in a way, try not to be emotional. Sorry, that, pardon me. That's what I was basically trying to say is like, try not to be too emotional in those times, and have the right people around you that you can bounce ideas off, that you can tell them how you're feeling. You know what I mean? You can talk to them. You can call that person at 1 a.m. and they're going to text you back or pick up the phone. Those are the relationships when you're in the, when you're in the pits, man. That's where the champions are made.
Yeah.
It's like that meme. This guy has the axe and he's like, he's just, digging and digging and digging, and he gives up, and then and there's like a big ass diamond just waiting for him. If he wouldn't have walked away, you know what I mean?
But he walked away.
You walked away, but you were like right there.
Right.
There's always going to be trials.
That is such a good image.
Yeah. There's always going to be trials and tribulations, and I, without talking too much about it, it's just a very passionate thing for me. Just, try to just hang in there,
Yeah. Last thing.
Sure.
So when you guys go on tour,
Uh-huh.
right, and it'll be on your website,
Right.
I think you should go to Red Rocks.
Red Rocks? What is that?
It's in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah. U2 play like Red Rocks.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Outdoor
it's
amphitheater.
Outdoor amphitheater.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Overlooks Denver.
Yep.
Very small.
Yep.
But your music would sound really good there.
You think so?
Yeah. All music sounds good, but yours in particular
Thank you.
would strike a note.
Well, if you know anybody over there, let me know.
Robert does. You need
Yeah,
to talk to
Ram.
Robert. Robert
Ram gotta
knows
put me on.
everybody.
Shout out to Ram.
Yeah, he's the best. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
sharing
having
your
me.
story and for making such beautiful, beautiful music. And I